What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. Before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic, and that the player ratings and potentials of players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously you don't have to follow all the tips. This is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those you out there who are new to the game and just need a little bit of advice, or for those of you out there who want a few recommendations of what players you could sign for a team that you may be using in career mode this year. So yes, in today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, we're going to take a look at Glasgow Rangers of Ibrox in the Scottish Premier League in Scotland, and these guys are such a fun team to do a career mode with. If you are looking for a unique team outside of the traditional top 5 European leagues that needs a rebuild and needs a lot of change for their long-term future, Rangers and Celtic, the two rivals in Scotland, I couldn't recommend them higher. Now, Rangers start off with a budget of around 16 million. It's very modest indeed. You've got to stretch your pennies here. They're a 4-star team with tough objectives too. Win the domestic double in Scotland and reach the quarter-final of the Europa League as well. Now, as we know this season, Rangers have reached the semis of the Europa League, done a tremendous job to get to the Final Four against all odds, even knocking out Borussia Dortmund in the progress as well, doing a really fantastic job in Europe this season. And in the SPL, of course, they are the holders of the Scottish Premier League. Won it last year, stopped Celtic's 10 in a row. Your aim this year is to retain the Scottish Premier League for their first time since being back in Scotland's top flight. Now, one thing I want to show you, because I'm all about transparency in this save, is that we did have a freebie allocated to us. When you start a FIFA career mode nowadays, if you don't have the biggest of squads, sometimes the game will give you one of the free players, the free agents to start off with, that are higher rated enough to be part of a team. We were given Toby Alderweireld for this Rangers side, but I released him, of course, straight away because he will become the highest rated player in the team, and of course that's not fair. So I released Toby Alderweireld. In the end, I think it gave us like an extra $500,000 once his wages were cut out of the club, but I decided not to spend that for the fairness, if you will. But yeah, so I just wanted to show you that straight away. Hence why our budget was slightly higher than we started off with, because we were given Toby Alderweireld. But again, I promised myself I wouldn't spend the extra $500,000. I think I worked out it was we got after cutting out the wages. Even so, Rangers, again, 4-star team and a really fun team as well. As we know, Steven Gerrard last year coming in at Ibrox helped them stop Celtic's 10 in a row hunt to win their first Scottish Premier League since coming back to the top tier of Scotland. They've got a couple of very interesting players loaned in, Aaron Ramsey from Juventus and the youngster Diao from Manchester United. Now, there are a few players that deal to come to the end of the year and some really noteworthy ones as well. Alan Mcgregor, the long-serving goalkeeper, Logan. The only player I give a new contract to is this guy right here, though, Connor Goldson. Not sure if he will stay at Ibrox for the foreseeable future right now with Rangers, but I give him a new deal just because he's good enough to be a first-team starting centre-half, and you're going to sell two of your centre-halves already in Balogun and Helander. I put 6 players on the shortlist. Those guys, Arfield, McLaughlin Davis, and also Alan McGregor as well. Basically, selling the ageing players, because there's quite a few of them here. Several players are in their 30s or their late 20s. And with Rangers, if you want to do a long-term RTG and a rebuild, then it's all about making sure you sell on the older players, you sell on the senior players, and you look to build for the future as well. So, yeah, it's all about selling those players who right now are coming towards the end of their careers or about to go in to their final few years in pro football. So, we sold Stephen Davis to Galatasaray, as you'll see, and Philippe Helander. We also sold him for, I think it was 4 million, 4.25 million, perhaps something like that. 4.25 mil in the end as well to Espanyol. What you'll notice is with these players, we don't get much money in terms of a transfer fee because they're reasonably low rated and they're also quite old as well. For Scott Arfield, for example, from Almeria, we accepted a bid of just 1.3 mil, but what you will notice is, unfortunately this deal falls through here, is that the wages these players are on are really, really high. So sold Helander for 4.25 mil, the Arfield deal falls through here. Davis goes for just over 1.6 1.6 mil to Galatasaray, and really, that's not much money in modern football at all. Same with Balogun here, 1.7 mil offer from America. We managed to squeeze a couple extra mil from the Mexican team here for Balogun, but this guy right now is on over 30 grand a week, and it's 74 years old and 74 rated and 33 years old. He's only going to get worse. In the very first season, he's going to start to show signs of decline, and he's not really that great now in the grand scheme of things, especially for a long-term project. So on 33 grand a week, he doesn't justify that salary. So my advice to you guys is simple. If you are selling these players, as we sell Balogun here along with Davis, and also Hollander as well to raise our budget, just get whatever you can, because you can see here, whilst the transfer fees were small, the reason we're able to raise our budget by quite a lot is because the wages allowed us to extend our transfer budget by more. The wage we cut out, I should say. So just make sure you get their salaries off the books. Even if you can't get much money for the players, even if it's only valuation, just take it. Get their salaries off the books. That's the most important thing. So for new signings with Rangers, I did decide to sign a centre-back. Also, we sold Hollander and we sold Balogun as well. So my number one target for a new centre-half with Rangers is this guy right here. Now, you've got Bassi, who's a good young centre-half, but he's not really high rated enough right now to be a regular starter in this team, alongside Connor Goldson, but this guy is, and he's the perfect fit. You can get him for just over the valuation, which is an absolute bargain. It's the Benfica centre-half Morato. This guy is a really solid defender who is just 20 years old, 74 overall. He's got 87 strength already at 6'3". If you get his defensive work rate up from medium to high and train a reasonably low pace and improve the jumping as well, you can do all three with the stopper development plan. This guy's going to be a physical monster for all the years you're at Ibrox. 74 overall means he'll partner Connor Goldson in the back line and be a starting centre-half for all the years you're at Ibrox. He's got 86 potential, and this guy's going to be an absolute monster for all the years you're at Ibrox and a rock at the back. We also sold Alan McGregor to Tigres as well. Once again, like I mentioned there, the transfer fee is secondary to just getting the salary off the books. He's on a reasonably high wage, and he's 39 years old as well. Look, McGregor's a fantastic goalkeeper, everyone knows that, but yeah, at 39 years old, his decline is going to be really steep and really quick. So sell him as soon as you can, get whatever kind of money you can get for him, and look for his replacement straight away. The guy I'd recommend is the guy I recommend for every British career mode. If you're looking for a young English goalkeeper, it is Etienne Green of St Etienne. You will have to pay slightly over the valuation to get him because he's on a decent contract at St Etienne right now, and of course he's such a good young goalkeeper. He's already 74 overall, just 21 years old, so he's almost 2 decades younger than Alan McGregor, but he's only a rating lower as well. So like I mentioned there, just get McGregor's salary off the books, bring in Etienne Green. He'll be on a lower wage than McGregor was as well, so you're saving money. You're paying Green less than you were paying McGregor. He's only a rating lower, and he's 18. Let me say that again. 18 years younger as well. He is a tremendous young goalkeeper. He grows to 82 overall at his full potential, but with dynamic potential, you can get him a little bit higher. He's the perfect long-term successor for Alan McGregor, and he'll be a starting number one for all the years you're at Ibrox. So as you can see, after the Arfield deal fell through and the season ticket money came in, we had just shy of £16 million for our remaining signings. These are the guys I would pick up to improve this Rangers team. Firstly, you know all about this guy, I'm sure. Moving on from Hearts to Bologna. Interesting transfer, but he's really taken to life in the Serie A and looking like one of the top young fullbacks in Europe's top 5 leagues right now. It is Aaron Hickey, of course, of Bologna, the 19-year-old wing-back playing in the Serie A. He's 73 rated, but this guy has got 85 potential. And Scotland have an abundance of great young fullbacks from their country. There's no doubt about that. Robertson and Tierney being the top 2, of course, but this guy is a solid young wing back as well. What I love about Hickey too is he's got a 5-star weak foot, so if you want with Aaron, you can play him on the right hand side for your long-term successor for James Tavernier, as he is technically a right-footed player. With the 5-star weak foot, you can keep him on the natural left hand side and have him as your long-term successor for Barisic. Really, the choice is yours. Fantastic young wing back, no doubt about that, and again, he's 2 ratings lower than Barisic right right now. But personally, what I'd do, as he's 9 years younger, is put him straight in the first 11, drop Barisic to the bench, and have this guy starting to maximise his potential. At 85 being his potential, with dynamic potential, and get him to the high 80s. This guy being Scottish is a bonus as well. He is a solid young wing back in FIFA career mode this year, and one of the best you can get. The following signing I made is this guy, and you know all about him. Talking about great young teenage talent in Europe right now. Fabio Carvalho, who has helped Fulham get promoted back to the Premier League. This guy has his deal up come the end of the year, which means you can get him for the valuation of just £6 million. And that is an absolute bargain for this guy. As you know, fantastic playmaker that can also play on the wing as well. And because Rangers play this 4-3-3 asymmetrical system under Giovanni van Bronckhorst, Fabio Carvalho is the perfect player to play as that attacking midfielder right behind the front three, as you drop Aaron Ramsey to the more natural CM to play alongside Glenn Kamara. So yeah, what I'd do is I'd drop Ramsey down and I'll take Ryan Jack onto the bench and have Carvalho starting as your playmaker. At just 18 years old, he's going to get a lot of goals and a lot of assists in this Rangers system, and again with 86 potential as well. This guy's going to be your star playmaker in the Rangers team for all the years you're at Ibrox. He is a tremendous young wonder kid, and definitely make sure you get him for £6 million. It's the biggest bargain you'll ever pull off. So the following signings I made are a couple of young Scottish talents. We mentioned earlier with the signing of Hickey, Scotland has some great young fullbacks coming through their country, and these are two of them. Obviously, you've lost Patterson to Everton, which is a bit of a shame. If you don't want to buy him back for the realism, you can get this guy instead at right back. It's Calvin Ramsey of Aberdeen. He's just 17 years old, and whilst he starts off quite lowly rated at 63, he's got some decent base stats. Defensively, not too bad. High medium work rates, and already a little bit of pace, and some solid stamina as well. So yeah, not too bad to start off with Ramsey there. You will of course need to improve the defensive work rate and defensive stats as well. And the final signing I made was this guy right here. Talking of those young Scottish talents, Josh Doig, Hibernian left wing back. You might have spent a little bit of valuation to get him. We spent £2.5 million to bring him from Hibernian to Ibrox, but he's a solid young wing back with 79 potential as well. 67 rated isn't the highest, but Hickey's going to be your starting left back. This guy's probably not good enough right now to be a backup, but Barisic will be. But in a year or two, when you sell the Croatian, this guy will be just as good, if not better, than Barisic as the left wing back. So it's all about the long-term future. Doig and Hickey as your 2 and 1 for starting wing backs on the left side in this team. They're going to be a great Scottish duo for all the years you're at Ibrox as your starting and backup wing backs, both from Scotland as well. So I really like that. So in the end with Rangers, as you can see, I left the money we got for Toby Alderweireld in the transfer budget. We did sell 4 players in the end for just shy of £8.5 million. So really it was very little. But again, the players we sold, Hollander was the youngest at 28. The rest all in their 30s, and we signed 6 players for 36 mil. It was a net loss of 27.5 million in the end, but the way we improved this Rangers team is great. Carvalho coming in as our new starting playmaker. Morato going right into our back 4. Hickey as our starting wing back for all the years we're at Ibrox, and same with Etienne Green as well, between the sticks, replacing the 39-year-old Alan McGregor. Now with Ramsey and Doig as good young Scottish wing backs to keep our eye on in the future, with their really good potential, this is a really fun Rangers team for the future. But the question was, in the first season, could we hit those tough objectives? Reaching the quarter-final of the Europa League, very tough to do, even though Rangers have gone one step further in real life to reach the semi-finals, but also winning the domestic double as well. Well, as per usual, we simulated the end of the season, and as you can see, well, in the Scottish Premier League, despite a very tough final run-in, we did manage to win the title, but my manager rating was incredibly low under Giovanni van Bronckhorst. As you can see, we were top in the first stage, and then in the second stage, we only won 1 of the 5 games. But Celtic won 0. It was a bizarre final stage in the Scottish Premier League. We did manage to retain the SPL 4 points clear of our old firm rival Celtic, as Alfredo Morelos also won the Golden Boot here. What you'll see is Fabio Carvalho winning the assist title this year. And I can't wait to show you the stats he had in Season 1 as well, as Etienne Green also won the Golden Glove as well. In the Scottish Cup though, this is why my manager rating was so low. Wow, did not see that coming. Asked to win it, we were knocked out in the first round by Ross County. Yep, did not see that coming at all. And in the end, Ross County went all the way to the final only to lose to Hearts. Yep, Hearts were the champions of the Scottish Cup, but we were knocked out by Ross County in the first round. That's why my manager rating was so low, but also this as well. In the Europa League, Arsenal reached the quarter-final, and we were knocked out in a preliminary round by Shakhtar Donetsk as well, as Benfica went all the way to win it. So technically it's a failure of a season one, not going far in Europe, only just making it through the group and then getting knocked out in the preliminary round. And of course the biggest failure was the Scottish Cup. But really with Rangers, this is a long-term RTG. In the very first season, you're not supposed to win everything and then call it a day after 1 year at Ibrox. You're supposed to do many years in Glasgow, aiming to be the best team in Scotland and reclaim domestic dominance from Celtic, and then challenge for major European trophies. You're not going to be able to do that in one season alone. This is a long-term project, so really the first season with Rangers is just about winning one trophy domestically, be it the Scottish Cup or retaining the Scottish League, and then laying down the groundwork for the years you'll be at Ibrox as well. And we did that in season one. Personally speaking, whilst it would technically be considered a bit of a failure, we retained the Scottish Premier League, and that to me is more than good enough in the very first season. You're not supposed to win it all and call it a day after 12 months. You're supposed to bring it a long-term project to Rangers. That's exactly what we did with the signings you'll make. You'll see here Etienne Green grew 3 ratings, as did Hickey, as did Morato as well, as did Ramsey too. So all of our youngsters we brought in here growing really nicely in the very first season, and that's what it's about with Rangers as well. It's a long-term project. You want to bring in those young talents for the future, start developing them, lay down the groundwork early for it's going to be a long-term future with Rangers. And look at this, by the way, Fabio Carvalho, 8 goals and 11 assists in 35 Scottish Premier League games, growing 5 ratings to 78 overall. And this guy's still only 19 years old. I'll tell you what, Carvalho and Hickey are my number 1 targets for this Rangers team. They're a great team to use though, really fun, 4-star team, long-term project, need a rebuild, need some young talent, and again, the sort of team you can try and aim for domestic dominance in the first 2 or 3 years in Scotland and look to conquer Europe in 4 or 5 years. They're a great long-term RTG team, lovely kits, Ibrox an iconic stadium despite the ground not being in the game, and also that strong rivalry with Celtic. Definitely give Rangers a go this year. But that would end today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys. Big thank you for watching. Enjoyed from just like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of Who to Sign For very soon.